Okay, well, I'm glad you're here. Second, how to see it. Let's just second, how to see it.
I thought that was this one.
Sorry, as I turn off my phone. Okay, so we are going to, at 5:04, call the Historic Preservation Board of the Village of Cooperstown to order. Thanks, everybody, for waiting. We're going to start with item number 1 on the regular agenda, 190 Main Street. Tim, would you like to come and tell us about the application?
Sure.
We had one, but I think it's a.
Yeah, I have some minutes. We got some.
Good, how are you?
Good, so it's two same things. So basically, this is a storage barn. House at 190 Main, and it's really been like most storage barns in disuse. It's not really big enough for the garage, and so they don't really use it for anything, a little bit of storage. And so what we're proposing to do is turn it into like a 3-bedroom, bath and a half. And space for in the back there. So basically it would be 2 stories. You want to maintain the same siding, same roof, same detail. Basically we have 2 proposals really to run by you. Is the problem with the existing windows is they don't meet egress. And so we have 2 different ways we could go about it. We could maintain the exact same window size and put in casement windows that would pass egress. Or if we were to switch to double hung, we would put in, they'd have to be larger windows. So it's really an aesthetics. I don't know if there's if you guys care one way or the other. We're trying to maintain the exact look. So even if we did larger, we would still make the same style that's there. Basically, we would be adding a few more windows. And basically the garage door would change from being a garage door to being a 3-foot opening with 2 sides to maintain, it would be the same structure. The main issue with this is we had a survey done that's 6 inches from the property line. And because we're not allowed to have windows or anything else that comes to the property line, we are proposing moving it by 5 feet, basically lifting it up. And we need a new foundation anyway. Here the same feature. And what we are proposing is here's existing right here. And what we're proposing to do is just move it. This is for east, moving it west about 4.5 feet. So since it needs a new foundation anyway, we lift the barn up, pour a new foundation about 5 feet over, then move the barn and place it right back on the foundation, which would then allow us to have the setbacks that are required and be able to rebuilt it, not rebuilt, just, remodeled it.
Which is your preferred approach to the windows, so you can tell us what you would like to do with the windows, and we can make a discussion based on that. We appreciate your offering us two options, but present us with your preferred.
Yeah, I would prefer to do these, the casement windows. I think proportionally it looks better with the building. And I think that's a good solution to maintaining, the symmetry of the building.
And otherwise, with the siding and the trim materials, your plan is to maintain existing unless it needs to be repaired or replaced for condition?
Exactly, maybe if it needed to be changed, if there's some rot, it would be in kind, we would obviously use the same side made out of wood, everything else.
And the elevation with the new foundation isn't gonna change dramatically, and it's just gonna be kind of an Alaskan slab? Are you gonna do anything around the?
Yeah, it'll be an Alaskan slab, right now you can see it is concrete, it's, I'd say it's concrete, it's just a little wall there, and it is concrete now, so it would look the same as it does now. In terms of elevation, it is a little close, here, so we might raise it up 4 inches, just so it's a little.
So there won't really be a step or anything required from the door, it'll just be a one step out kind of thing.
Correct.
So you have to have a landing or a step. Do you have any questions?
No, but I like the first plan, the symmetry of.
The casements?
Yeah.
Pat, do you have any questions?
What is the function of the new building?
It's gonna be 3 bedrooms and a bath and a half. The house.
Not used as a livery stable anymore after that.
Hopefully, well, you never know. I've seen horses in buildings before.
We're talking about that later. Okay, George, how about you? Do you have any questions?
I agree, I think the first
The casement,
proposals, yeah, the symmetry is.
or the double hung, excuse me, the
Yes.
double hung, yes. I agree also.
These are the double hung, the larger ones, these are the casements.
I think the double hung, even though you will have to change the size of the openings, if you're going to treat the moldings and trim the same. I feel that the double hung and the dimensions are more appropriate to the building and to
believe,
maintaining
correct
historic.
me if I'm wrong, you were proposing the case.
Yeah, I was proposing these are the same size as these,
Right.
the casements.
I thought you had said you prefer the double hung though. I'm sorry.
The other way around.
Okay,
I think the cases were just a little bit better around the door in particular,
okay.
but they could go.
I'm sorry. Been a long day. My coat to be quiet. Anyway, okay. Did you have any other questions, Pat? I know I kind of flipped you and went to George. You good?
It's a lot of windows for a carriage house,
And are the
but it's not
windows,
gonna be a carriage house.
right, and are the windows necessary to egress and use the rooms too?
There's also a code that dictates how much light we need in the building. And so we just don't want it dark. You know, currently, there's actually not too many windows you're talking about. There's only 4 windows in the entire church, none upstairs, so that's why we have to have more windows. Than currently we have.
Yeah, the argument I would make in favor of, yes, there's a lot of windows for a carriage house is the village's goal of creating additional residential space.
I think that's a wonderful idea, I just don't know how to do
Right, exactly, I understand. Any other conversation around this? Okay, Dave's accusing himself. Would one of the two of you like to make a motion?
Take me a little while to figure out what it is. Whereas the Historic Preservation and Architectural Review Board has made the following findings concerning the proposed application at 190 Main. A public hearing is not required. The requirements of CEQA have been met, I assume. The structure is not listed, is the structure listed?
It is listed.
Yes.
Okay, the structure is listed as contributing to the Gunda Glass Historic District nomination. As submitted, regarding work to be done at 190 Main, the following principles were considered. I guess it would be 2A. Three. B. I think that's it, isn't it?
And five,
Which?
5 for the
Oh,
classification of windows.
thank you, Dave.
Is five applicable if the space was unheated and is now heated?
Plus, the windows are gonna be upgraded.
Okay. And 5. Therefore, let it be resolved that we, the duly appointed members of the Historic Preservation and Architectural Review Board, do this 8th day of November, determine that the work at 190 Main meets the criteria, blah, 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 blah.
All right, did you get the blah, blah,
I
blah?
got one.
Okay.
I got it wrong.
Okay, do we have a second? Thank you, George.
George, second.
Any discussion? Okay, Liz votes yes.
Chad, yes.
George, yes.
Great.
And here's
Dave refuses.
Perfect.
Fantastic, thanks.
Thanks,
Jen.
Ken. We'll get your
Thanks.
permits now.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
We have representatives, the 27 SK here. How are you?
Good, Nathan.
Good.
I'd like to apologize to the ladies and gentlemen of the board if I wasted your time at the last meeting.
No.
Due to being
yeah, had plenty to keep
ill-prepared.
us busy, don't worry.
I guess I was ill prepared.
No
Anyway,
worries.
I have the 4 packets. Jackson's.
Okay, would you like to tell us about your project?
2 attached garages, somehow it's been recorded, or not, whatever, that have one attached and one detached.
Okay.
It was the original, yeah, the original application was to attach. I changed the size of the one, the smaller one, and I don't know what you got to in the last meeting, but attached the garage that I plan to attach to the house had 2 windows, and now they're not gonna have any windows.
Okay.
It's not the only change.
We did not review it at all,
Oh,
because
okay.
we generally, unless we know, a lot of details and have talked to the applicant, and we're just finalizing some small aspect, want to have an applicant present to answer questions.
Okay.
Not-
Yeah, if I knew, I guess I could have come, but maybe I still wouldn't have been, had all the information for you, I don't know.
Okay, so your project has changed a little bit, so tell us about what you'd like to do.
Drawings. Here's the site plan. Showing the existing, I call it a barn, I'm not sure, it looks like a barn. It was built for a garage, but it doesn't really serve. It was a garage, so I want to put an attached garage on the barn, and an attached garage on the house.
And as you're looking.
The house, from going at the house, this slopes down towards the towards the barn garage, and the lay of the land builds up a lot of ice. You have to walk, and sometimes you just slide down the garage.
Always exciting.
And I thought it'd be nice to have an attached garage on the house, and part of that would possibly need it closed. It's not necessary, but I thought about closing the porch, it would be attached. This drawing, you can see it would be attached to the porch, and to this back room of the house, that was kind of the, it's a summer room. And, I thought that if I just enclose the one side of the porch and put steps, an egress going straight out, there'd be another fire door, self-closing fire door that goes into the garage. And that would actually make this porch into one room. Some photographs in one of the packets. Sorry. No. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, here's the bar.
Thank you. I drove up and.
Okay. Here's the porch. Here's the porch, and you're looking from where the garage would be. We step up into the porch, and this only one side that would be exposed. That one I'm going to close to put a door, which is the door. I'm using one of them to these for the Marvin.
That's the door you plan to.
Yeah, yes, but on the inside, which I heard you ask me something about the man door,
We don't
not
need,
visible.
we don't need to know.
Yeah, I
what's
think, I'm not
inside.
sure, it might require a fire door, self-closing steel door.
Yeah, we are specifically concerned with the exterior appearance of the structure.
Okay, well, that, I had, I know that for the last meeting, I had emailed you, and that was some, we're dealing with the laptop for the information, but I had everything there, and I think I put a copy in each packet of the information that I sent to Jackson last month.
This year.
Yes, yeah, I highlighted the crossed out the window part, I highlighted. It's on the attached barn or barn garage. The siding will match the custom vertical pine siding. The rough side out was manufactured by White and Specialty Woods of Parkville. You all know, I bought my siding there in 1986, my house in Springfield. I still have this. It's white. So that would match exactly. The trim, the paint, the same siding, and the roof. I have the roofing was ICO Cambridge from Bruce Hall, and the roof on the barn is a charcoal roof, so it'll match that. And the doors, will be an overhead garage door, but the design will match this X motif on the. These are sliding doors.
Do you know the material the overhead garage door is going to be
Wood.
made of? The new door will be made out of wood also?
But they'll be painted. I don't think I'll leave the color. But it would look like this.
Mhm.
It would look just like that, except you have the invisible three
Mhm.
panels. And the gable will go in the drawing. See the gable
Mhm.
goes the other way.
Okay. Dave, do you have any questions for Mr. Williams?
No.
No, George? You good? Pat?
How far is the building from the Pestle?
The driveway is 600 feet.
And it's wooded, right?
Yeah, it's completely wood. Bad wood. They did that. Don't know what they call it. But there are a lot of woods. I can't,
300
from the house, I
feet
can't
in a straight line.
Hmm?
320 in a straight line.
oh, yeah, I think so.
I got that.
Over this direction, I can't see the neighbor's house, he's down closer to Essex. And I can see the back of the barn or and then there's the woodside hall is over, which I can't see from that part. On the other side, I'm not sure what that. The structure is.
It is pretty obscure from the road. The other thing to note is that this property is not contributing. So I knew the date, when last month, I knew the date your home was built, was the mid-80s, correct?
Oh, 1995.
Okay, 95, okay,
Filthy crane. And
okay.
we bought it, I think, right before their 25th anniversary, so that. Denver, and that was the original building.
All right.
But it's, I think she was trying to put in a certain period look for the house with the clapper and the multi-pane 606, no, 909. It's photographed somewhere.
Right, this is all very helpful. If any of your materials change, please come to us for a field change. So if you make any different plans with the doors, the materials, the garage door. things
Yeah,
like
I'm in contact with Phil T. Kramer, but they had all the cancel checks, everything from the drawings and everything from the original building, so no, and if I had any questions, I asked them. But,
Does
I'm
anyone?
very sympathetic to, things looking pretty fastidious about that,
No,
it would hurt me if I did anything.
see, it's been
that
very
didn't
thoughtful.
match, once it's up, the only thing that would give it away. That's maybe not even big, being a new house would be the shingles that they put on the roof.
Mhm. One quick question, in terms of the foundation, it's a porch.
I could have brought not the architect, the engineer drawing. It's a big
It's
roll,
quartz
but
mesh.
it'll be about 5 or 6 foot. It's a frost wall,
Mhm.
goes down 40, what is it, 20.
48 inches.
48,
48.
yeah, just because it's attached to the house. The same with this is on a footing. And the house is on footing and the porch is on a footing, 4-foot footing, so that would all be, that's what he drew up for the plans, which I could have brought them, but I changed them because originally we talked about this attached garage, the house, actually the garage is being larger, but longer, but it realizes it wasn't going to gain anything. It was visual expensive.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
Oh, I'd
Okay.
like to ask a question. What's the nature of the structure of the new one?
It's, well, I think it was built,
Is it post and beam? Oh, it's.
no, it's,
Just.
yeah, but, 2 by, I think the walls are 2 by 8. And, it has a truss, but it has a second floor, and the truss is like, they seem excessive to me, I don't know, but you just look up and that's all you see, truss spanning, which was nice, because it's about, I'm not sure, I think it's 32 feet wide, maybe, or you may know, because you. Well,
We just placed it exactly up on
That's span.
No, yeah.
Yeah, big span, but the garage door, even though it's wide, you can't really, you can put one car in, and you can't get one behind the other without it sticking out, and to get 2 cars in, and then Dr. Kramer putting some work tables on the side, but besides the point, you pull in one car, you have to have a small car, and you have to move it over, so you can get the next car in, and then one gets out, so it's, and I think I better things I could do with the space and.
Okay.
So yeah, the siding, all the
And you got-
materials came from Whiteman. And about all the siding, everything came from Whiteman, important from pine, the siding, this vertical pine siding, came from Whiteman in Portland. I think it was built maybe 3 or 4 years after the house, so more around, built more around year 2000. It's not an old structure.
Hydrogen? Yes, a good source. If anyone's gonna hold up, it's gonna be Whiteman's Wood. Especially me wood. Anybody, any other questions or would somebody like to make a motion? Thank you, Dave.
Whereas the Historic Preservation Architectural Review Board has made the following findings concerning 27 Esley Avenue. It is not listed. Therefore, in accordance with section 326E, 2B, C, and 3A.
Great.
I think that's about it.
I think that'll do that. Would anybody like to second?
Also,
Thank you, Pat. Okay, any discussion? Liz votes yes.
David, yes.
George, yes.
Right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witter.
Thank you very much.
Certainly, yep. If you leave us one complete one.
Jackson, will get you the,
Still have the photographs.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yep, I have your original.
and if anything is going to change,
Yeah.
reach out to him so you can get on the agenda for field change. Okay? Thank you. All right. One Lakeview Drive, is anybody here representing that application? Okay. 43 Lake Street, is anybody here representing that application? 14 Elm Street. Dan, would you like to come back to us?
Sure would.
Essentially, very simply, all I'm looking for this evening is to get an approval on the replacement windows that we need through what I would present as the two sides of the building. At this time, that's all I'm gonna be asking for. We have in the house right now, what we have is we have enough windows of the right size that we can use the older wooden windows that we have right now. We can use them on the whole front of the building, but we don't have enough to complete any sides afterwards. So we have to put in some windows going down the sides of the building. So we'd like to apply to use the Marvin Elevate series windows that are, created like the front ones, a duplication of the front windows to go down the sides of the building.
So the dimensions of the front windows will be maintained and dimensions of the openings from where you are moving windows to the front will be maintained. The light configuration is the same,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
And so you're doing a simulated divided light
Yes.
with dimensions on both the inside and outside?
Yep. And we'll maintain the same size as the windows that were previously there.
Does anybody have any questions?
this is the house of bird.
Yes.
This is change order.
I think it is a field change, is that correct?
We have not approved
We have not approved the windows, so
to date, other than in-kind repair. We have not approved any application. It's the first possible one. They have been proposed in the past, but it was for an aluminum clad window.
and so everything circled is what is going to be replaced at this time, everything circled in your application?
Yes.
And so there will still be some windows on the side that aren't dealt with, or on the back, the windows on the north side that are kind of in that middle section. on the first floor.
The one facing the ball field.
Yep, one moment to review this.
Thanks.
All right, so, ask that question again, please.
So I can even show you the pictures, so
Yep.
we're
we can
clear,
look at that as
but
well. Yep,
this section is not
Yep.
going to be replaced at this.
yeah,
point.
those windows are in good standing order,
Okay,
and so we
great.
might as well keep them as well.
And then on the other side, pretty much directly opposite those in the house.
Yep.
They are circled to be replaced, but dimensionally they'll be double hung and fit into
Yes.
that opening. Great. And then right now, you don't have anything planned for the rear in that section that's being
That's correct.
rebuilt?
That's
Okay.
correct. We don't have a design for that yet, but hopefully we'll be ready for that for next month.
Okay. All right. Questions? Pat, did you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
Whereas the Historic Preservation and Architectural Review Board has made the following findings concerning the proposed application at 14 Elm. Public hearing is not required. The structure is listed, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Yes.
The following regarding work to be done, the following principles were considered. I guess 2B and C. And 3B. And do we consider 5?
I would say 5 is
Five as
also
well.
a consideration, yes.
Therefore, let it be resolved that we, the duly appointed members of the historic president, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Liz, what's yes?
That is,
There's yes. George, yes.
Great. Thank you, Pat.
All right,
Thank you.
have a great evening.
You too.
Nobody's here for 76 Fair at this point, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Will, would you like to come talk to us about 175 Main Street?
Sure. David Martin's gonna be here for that one too. Can I please, I don't have any of the applications that were submitted on this. Could I, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a copy of that just so I can see what we have?
Yes, we've looked at it so many times that.
Yeah.
And it's quite lengthy.
So there's 2 applications in front of you? Is that correct?
Well, let's see, right now, we have the application submitted on September 8th to update and restore exterior of building, and then there was an attached narrative from Pat
Okay.
and an email.
Is that specifically dealing with the siding on the, what would be the side facing that, facing that?
This has windows, the vinyl clad windows, we plan to replace molding. Scrape and paint wood
Yeah,
trim.
yeah. So everybody knows I'm being brought in at the last second to handle this, so I'm sorry if I'm not up to speed on everything. But I believe there was some sort of motion last week.
Yeah.
We're agreeing to remove the siding on the one side of the building. That was correct?
Correct.
So,
Primarily the motion, the focus of the motion was to allow the siding to remain.
yeah, I mean, we have all intention to remove that as was agreed with this body to remove the siding on it. Issue being that given the time of year and also that once siding is removed, there's Tyvek on it. And then the siding, which I think we're looking to restore eventually, which is the wood clapboard, is not in great shape. So we would request that the time frame be moved to the spring. And so it gives us time so I can hire the right people to look into it and see what we can do in order to, eventually do some sort of restoration if we're going to do that, if that's the direction we're going to take. taking off right now. I just don't know how we're gonna do it without leaving the tie back on, which I don't think is a good look. It's gonna come off. I can tell you, I promise you that right now, that's coming off. I also understand there was a application for vinyl windows. Were those the top two windows, my understanding is, because the only windows I asked Pat what was being replaced. We bought it with almost all the replaced windows. It's only that third floor, I think.
On the
So-
front of the back.
There's nothing being done on the front. There's no windows on the back. It's gonna be on the side that we're dealing with facing the county building, I believe.
So. the
Yeah, it's an
other-
that upper dormer there.
So the other windows,
These
Is that the side?
proposed windows.
Yeah, those right there.
So it's 1, 2, and then 3.
These,
4.
those were already in.
So he's.
I think those were previously replaced.
These were previously replaced, and these were the ones that he replaced that he's now applying for.
Okay, because the previous ones were vinyl windows.
Right.
And my understanding is, and you need to make a ruling on that. I'm assuming your ruling is that we can't put those windows in there. So we would need to agree to be removing those in the spring as well and come up with a better plan for them. Is that what I'm assuming?
As per the process of work stoppage due to work being done without an application, we
Yeah.
were waiting to resolve that in order to address this.
I would like to address, if possible, I would like to address everything tonight.
can we,
So-
yes, and we need to be clear, because we weren't getting clear answers.
Yeah,
Which windows were replaced without permit?
I'm looking at Pat's application right there. So it's gotta be these top two and those front two right there.
Are we looking at
because
the west side?
It's those
It's only the west side.
facing the parking lot, the county parking lot.
So the top two?
The top two and then the two more towards the road.
And the 2 towards Main. Yeah. They're the first floor and the second floor closest to the road, and the 2 of the dormer.
So the two most northeast windows, or northwest windows on the second floor and the first floor, and then the bump
The
out
high,
windows,
yeah.
all of the windows on the bump out. All 3 floors,
No, the bottom 2 floors were pre-existing.
so just the windows, and Pat has replaced those, are we clear
That's what
on that?
that's my understanding.
Okay,
Yes, and
That-
unfortunately,
that is-
the application said to be replaced, and so it was quite.
has been the
Difficult.
confusion, and that's been the.
That's my understanding is that the application was made in order, am I correct, Jackson? I know you were dealing with Pat and Susan on that.
Yep.
That those were in there. So I would,
That's
if,
the understanding I've come to.
yeah,
Yes.
so if
Yeah.
siding is going to be removed and then we're gonna come up with a plan for that. If it's this body's decision that these are not the appropriate windows for the building, I'd like to know, take care of it all at once. So, I mean,
It's
the
been-
previous windows are vinyl, but
Right, and that's
But
been
yeah,
part of the
yeah.
challenge is that there, of course, as any old structure that's
Yeah.
gone through various stages of.
oh, I
care,
lived in that building
maintenance.
for many years before we owned it.
Right,
And
so some of the new work that was not applied for looks a lot like the old work, and so it's been a little bit difficult to make.
yeah, I
that
think
differentiation.
I think what he just did was copy what was already there.
Exactly, so everybody should know that the pre-existing windows, the new windows that are vinyl match the pre-existing vinyl windows, for what it's worth.
Which is, and it's made it very hard to kind of figure out what was being applied for, what was done.
Understood,
and Being
yeah.
applied for retroactively, and what still is to be done.
Also, Pat said today for the first time that I had heard that the vinyl on the south upper gable was also pre-existing, which it was the first that I'd heard of it.
So it's
It's
pre-existing.
identical.
I'm not certain of that. I'm pretty certain, I was certain I was gonna be coming here saying, well, we'd remove that as well.
And do we know if the window on the back, the south upper gable, was also replaced during these processes? That is relatively new.
Which one would that?
Vinyl window.
The vinyl slider up in the upper gable.
Well, there's a vinyl slider in the front upper gable, and then, yeah, is it a slider?
Is it the front, is this the front face of the building facing the street?
That would be the north gable. There's a slider in that I was questioning, and then I guess there's a slider in the south upper gable as well.
No, I don't know anything about
So Pat
that.
had said that he did not replace those, and when you look at the street view from shortly after the purchase of the property, you can see that the window has a piece of plywood over it, so that at that time, maybe they didn't There may have just been a hole in the attic.
There was a hole up there when we did the inspection, the
So
third
this-
floor, you could barely walk up
This
there.
window has been installed since you purchased. This is the front, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't install anything up there.
So-
Which one?
But there was a hole in the other window.
The middle one, the
That one right
silver
there?
slider, yeah.
I don't, we didn't put anything in there. If there's this, in any ways, anything that's going to be done with that front of that building, I know there's talk of another plan to do that, which would involve
Right.
renovating all
Because you guys
those.
had come to us with a plan for the front.
Yeah, I don't know
years
what
ago.
that plan is, but I
Yeah.
think that plan is a lot, that's gonna take a little bit longer time because it's gonna involve, that definitely is gonna need a lot of scrutiny to figure out what is appropriate for the front of the building.
So, Will, before this conversation goes any further too, this issue was brought to the attention of the State Office of Historic Preservation.
Okay.
And I received an email from Linda Mackey, who's one of the SHPO tech, she's in charge of this area for technical assistance. I was not able to talk to her, but she was questioning our decision to allow our compromise that we put forward last time to allow the east wall of siding to be maintained. So I did explain to her that the compromise was justified by the alleyway and the proximity to the other building, the difficulty in repairing, removing, maintaining. I have not heard back from her, but that now has been kind of called into question in terms of this board's decision.
I can't speak to that. You have counsel here. I would leave it
I'm
to
just
him.
warning you, Martin, I did share that letter with you today. I don't know if you, I was not able to speak to her.
One reason I came tonight was to address that if there was a need. I mean, this board is the final decider on those issues. I don't really care what the technical analysts from SHPO say. This board, in my opinion, and I think the record over many years is very abundant in showing this board has been very studious in making sure that all the work that's done meets historic standards on many projects. I understand the board's compromise. From my perspective, I have no problem distinguishing that from any other situation, given the distance and the fact that it is not really a public alleyway, nor is it one that is easily visible from any point, and the difficulty in maintenance. So because there's so many distinguishing factors there, I'm happy. I tried to reach Linda Mackey today to discuss that. But it is this board that makes that determination, and it is my job to then defend that, and I'm not at all worried about defending this board's decision to leave that one side on.
Okay, thank you for your support in terms of giving us a little perspective on our decision. I did take a picture just in case other board members are concerned. This is about the most street view I could get for that siding we offered as a compromise to remain, just so people have a clear sense of.
You know, pretty well.
I do.
Well-
Undecided.
Is the intention to keep the building the same colors as vinyl siding?
I believe so. I can't speak to the color.
It's gonna be a factor if they keep that vinyl siding and then change the color of the building.
Oh, I would think we would keep the color uniform. It's not gonna be a different, I think that's the color she's chosen for the building. I don't think we're not gonna deviate from that. Since
No,
purchase,
we don't dictate color.
no, I know. Well, is that true? We had.
Believe it or not.
Well, okay, I have a story about that, but I won't go into it now. The idea is obviously, we care what the building looks like. My wife runs a business out of there. She has a lot of employees, it's, for her, it's a point of pride. And so she's not gonna make it look like something, different colors on each side. I can't speak to how she chooses the colors. She's the designer, I'm the legal guy. So, but if there's, when the siding is replaced on it, I would assume, I would not assume, I would say that the color is gonna be uniform throughout. Even the front of the building at some point when it's addressed is planned, and I would just say to be that color as well.
Pat has a question.
Sure, please. Yeah, sorry.
I do have a comment is based on something that concerns me, and that is, one of the reasons that, we restrict the use of vinyl siding applied over wood claddings is the concept that moisture is retained under the siding and the wood rots. So as long as you're familiar
Oh, no,
with the fact that your building is going to be rotting,
I have a building on Main Street where my office is, and it's had vinyl on it for years, and clapboard I know is underneath it. So we're aware of the issues associated with that sort of treatment. I believe it was addressed by the builder, but I will also follow up with him to make certain that we're aware.
okay, I just wanted to make.
Oh, I know, it's not we're aware.
If I may jump on the harping on vinyl train, I noticed that the vinyl on the southern facade, right above that metal roof, is also warping.
Where's that, on which one?
So you have the metal shed roof over the porches on the back,
Okay,
and you can see right above there is the vinyl that matches all the others. And it's
oh,
supposed
so
to
it's
be
working on
extra
the backside?
It's working.
I never see that.
It's warping on the backside, and it's because of the heat that's being reflected off of that roof.
Well, we'll have to address that as well. This top part right here
Yeah.
is,
Yeah,
okay, I don't see the back end of the building, I don't go there that often.
Oh, totally understood. I just-
But no, I know, and it does
Argument on vinyl.
get a lot of sun on that side, so that'll have to be addressed.
yeah. So, will your request tonight, if I can clarify, is to extend the time
Mhm.
that you have to address the removal of the siding and the repair? Or if you are, I think. when
I would just,
conversation-
the removal at this time, I can tell you that unequivocally, it's going to be removed.
Mhm.
The time of the year, if this was earlier in the fall, maybe we could address it without and have an idea what we're going to do with what is underneath there, but to remove it right now, I don't know how we would be able to remove that, then the Tyvek that's on the side of that building, and be able to get something done with it. If it's in the spring, it'll come off, the Tyvek will come off, and then we can assess then, come up with a plan for what we want to do. I don't know what that plan is going to be yet, but the plan would be to have another, obviously, a different application in front of this body to let them know what the plan is at that time.
Okay,
Liz,
yes, Dave,
could we dictate a timeline?
I think that.
No,
was-
we were, I was talking, we recommended, you would speak to that, Martin.
Yeah, I have met with Will. I assumed that your past decision was a final one, so I took it upon myself to meet with Will and say, I wanted to draft some documents to ensure that that siding was coming off and these problems would be rectified. It was during those discussions, Will said, if we take off the siding, it's gonna leave us with Tyvek's. The siding itself has holes in it, rodents and squirrels habitat the building. So he said, and we don't know how we're gonna do it. It probably will be wood, but we've got to look into that and see about old wood versus new and so on. He said, there's no way we can have it torn off, but then I'm faced with, as he's mentioned tonight, the Tyvek's and the problems with the holes in the siding. So we talked, he had said, I asked him when the earliest he could have that all done, be before this board, get things planned and the work done. And I stressed that we'd like to have things done before summer season. And we agreed upon May 31st.
May
For all
31st
work to be
removal.
done.
Once I have it removed by that time, We gotta just associate.
And I thought, and also redone.
Well, I don't know, but I can't speak to the resurfacing. But removal back to what it was. I mean, is that gonna be satisfactory? I can't promise that I'm gonna have, I don't know where prices are gonna go next year with materials. But I mean, I think the board's action last month, was it last month, was to have it removed, right?
Correct.
It was to have it removed, and we had requested that you guys take whatever time what was needed between the two meetings to discuss with contractors and come
Yeah,
back
to
with a
have-
proposal for a timeline. which
Just have
is-
it removed. And I mean, that's essentially what I'm asking for more time on, is to remove it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to assess what's underneath there, what materials are gonna cost. You know, also, if I can salvage what is on there. Also wood prices and also good versus new wood, or old versus new wood is gonna be my issue. Also, there was a considerable amount of money put into this project before it was actually scrutinized. So I'm gonna have to find a way to recoup that in order to make the next project be something that's acceptable.
Does anybody have any questions for Will based on that timeline?
Do you have any terminal date for the whole project?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, when you expect to have the wall that's currently covered with vinyl, replaced with wood?
I can have it removed. I can't give you a time frame on replacement. The plan would be to remove, get it back to what was there, assess it, and then see what we can afford, and also what we can afford to do. And also what, I just can't tell right now with the way prices are going right now. And plus the cost that was associated or put into this project at the moment.
So we could be looking at a long time.
Well, I don't think you'd be looking at a long time. I mean, if it's determined that it comes down. I just can't tell you what we're gonna do. And I don't know if it's within your power to say, put something up right now.
I think that, removing the vinyl is a first step. And, and, I understand that the weather is not going to be in our favor. And in their favor to do that. And I know because Will and Martin reached out to me yesterday that they are sincerely drafting an agreement to do it by the date presented. Given the weather and everything else, we could ask them to do it sooner, but I think May 31st is a fair date to work toward. To remove the siding on the west side. That's certainly issue number one, and the siding on the south side still needs to be addressed in a separate kind of conversation.
Is that siding, that's just the square
Right.
siding up at the top?
Right.
I would do it all at once. I don't see why I would
Correct.
deliberate.
Okay.
You know, I would
It's
just
my
need,
understanding that probably our decision should sound something like we're making the decision to approve the illegal application of the siding on the east facade. And I don't know if we need to really discuss the rest of the vinyl. In that case, if somebody tries to come back in the future and say that we set precedent to allow vinyl, then the decision says that it was not legally done, and we can say our reason for it. This one about time. I think that Will's statement that he is going to wishes to wait to remove it so that the building is not exposed to the weather indicates that they do have their own weather-based timeline to complete some sort of repairs there. I totally understand it's going to be dependent on market forces and availability of contractors, et cetera.
I agree. Does anybody have any other comments before we?
Martin said about what the agreement means.
Well, I'm certainly gonna fashion it, having just heard, I thought we were talking about getting it recited, but I would have to agree with the board. If he takes the vinyl off, he's in compliance,
Correct.
so.
I mean, I don't want anybody to not think we're gonna let the building look terrible.
I understand.
We've put a lot of time and effort into it. It's
It's
just,
visible. We can see
it's
that.
just that, you know, with the economy the way it is, even regardless, if we were going to do this project the other way, it would have probably have taken a lot longer to do it.
So to answer your question, David, I'm just gonna be drafting something that very clearly makes certain, based upon the decision of this board, that by the 31st of May, this board, the building will at a minimum be back to its state prior to the installation of the siding on the east side and the, or excuse me, on the
right
west
side,
side and the south side, that both of those will be removed and restored to whatever shape they were in prior to the installation.
I'm pretty certain they were just covered up. That's about right. I think Pat just covered what was there.
Correct, that's pretty much the
That's,
standard.
So-
vinyl
that's our
application.
understanding.
Yeah, so it would be to remove it then, and
Taking
then,
it back to its original state.
and then I would want to, I don't want it, we don't want it to look the way it would look previously, but I just need time to assess how to do that.
And this board would encourage you to repair existing material, replace in kind,
Yep,
and, you know, work with as much original material as possible, and that would not require a permit to move forward.
correct. Okay.
And you can certainly take that into consideration.
No, we would, but I think one of the things we're gonna have to really do is assess it once it comes out. I'm hoping that maybe the winter, I don't know, there's a lot of factors to be playing into this.
We understand. Okay. Jackson, you had a pretty clear articulation of what we need to say that you just stated.
You have two attorneys here, we do motions all the time.
Yeah, I think what I would like to see, hopefully the board do, because I think that's what would be most easily enforced, would be a clear definition that the vinyl siding that was placed thereon on the south and the west side is to be replaced, and that side of the building to be restored to its original facade, and that there is an acknowledgement that because of various distinguishing factors, i.e. the width of the space on the east side and its relative invisibility to the public and it not being a public way, will be permitted to remain. I don't have a problem with saying that because I do think it distinguishes. We don't have that situation apparent in the future, so I'm not worried about dealing with a precedent there. But I think a clear definition that the vinyl siding that was placed on, any new vinyl work that was done will be removed and by May 31st.
And I just want to clarify, you did just clarify yourself in the first sentence, you said a clear definition of the vinyl siding will be replaced, it will be removed.
It will be.
You said, yeah, removed to the original.
And just to clarify that, because this is
Yeah.
being recorded for Marcia's notes. Okay, is that satisfactory in terms, and you're okay with getting it all done?
I can, yes.
Okay. And is that acceptable to the members of the board? You're okay? Okay, does, given that statement, does anybody want to make a motion to support that statement?
I'll move that we hold them in compliance to remove the siding except for the east wall.
So the west and the south side, the vinyl siding on the west and the south side,
The vinyl siding.
correct? Thank you, Pat. Okay, Liz votes yes,
Pat, yes?
George, yes.
David and George, yes, okay. We're not done because we still have the windows.
We have the windows.
Have we determined that the application for the windows is complete? The clock is not ticking on that application yet.
That's correct. The clock is not on the application yet. I feel like the application, we can see what it's proposing, but it does end with sentence. We don't know if they're taintable, but we know the adjacent ones, we don't yet.
Can we, since Will is new to what was being applied for and needs to get his research around exactly how that application read and if it's, given his role in this project now, if it's still the goal of the application, and knowing that we need to address windows that were replaced without approval, we have not determined this application is complete. Go, please go
I can
ahead.
propose, I think you determined that it is not complete as to those windows. And at the same time, we ask Will to go on the record and say that he will not utilize the 62-day period. And that he acknowledges he has several months to do that or whatever he needs to address it. Because if he's waiving that right, I'm protected in that regard.
I will do so.
Okay, Will's gonna waive the 62-day period. This will allow Will to come back with a clear application proposing the applicant's goals with the windows, addressing windows that were replaced without permission, and articulating how they'd love to deal with that.
This is the one, is this it?
For the windows?
Yeah,
No.
I think it would be very helpful. You are trying to get your mind around this.
yeah,
There have been a lot of moving pieces.
Yep.
And none of the information we received has been very clear. So
and I'm
you
here to
can
provide clarity.
This is,
create,
this is the extent of the window application.
Okay. So
Other than that, I'm interested.
if you can create an application
I will,
that provides clarity,
I will just,
and we can address windows in the same time frame, and it makes sense to do it.
Mhm.
We're not asking you to rip the windows out, but certainly by the time that siding's coming off, you've come to this board well before that, so the windows can be addressed at this, at
yeah,
the
no,
time.
that would be the plan. That
Um,
would certainly address.
If that, does that make sense to everybody? Because I have been really hesitant to try to make sense of this application as we haven't gotten a lot of clear information.
Okay, I'll make certain there's clarity.
There's a partial application for renovations to the front facade as well, and maybe they could be.
That front
incorporated.
facade is gonna be, we're gonna take that one right out for now.
Okay.
If there's going to be a front facade one, I think we'll address that once we get through what we're dealing, the
Yeah,
prior
please.
applications.
Specifically address the windows
Yes,
that were
correct.
replaced
Yeah.
without permission, and how that's gonna be, how you would like to deal with that, and then we can move from there.
Yes,
Okay. Is that fair to everybody? Does anybody have any more requests or questions around the windows? Okay, thank you, Will.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green.
You're welcome. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks, Martin.
You're welcome to see it.
Thank you guys for everything you
Have a good night. Okay, Jackson, which of the non-present applicants are you comfortable moving forward without applicants in place?
Let's see, I felt like, Jesse's commentary on some of these was useful, since lost it in my computer.
I'll find it.
The Lakeview Drive application is for a non-contributing building in what's close to a non-contributing district, and it's upgrading uninteresting windows to be more energy efficient and pretty much in keeping with the rest of the structure, other than some faux light divisions. So that would be number one Lakeview Drive. And it's really an energy upgrade.
It's kind of unfortunate that we're losing all the character that.
Is there character there
No,
that I missed?
that's what you said.
Um, I'm not shy if somebody disagrees. It is non-contributing, but the bowed 12 light windows flanked by vinyl shutters are in the Jesse's submission.
I think it's of the period, but it's also an unfortunate time for windows.
Yes. Best of periods, which was the worst of periods.
Looks like the one on the left side's already been done.
I think that is some, I believe that's some crafty Photoshop work they've done in those images. I do not know.
Because it's got the tomahawk on either side.
Does it say it? I know that she's trying to match a certain period that has already been replaced. I did not do a drive-by, I'm sorry to say. Thank you.
Death by 1,000 windows. As we quote fiction, insert windows.
Look like it's Photoshop.
I guess we approved something in 2020. Pat, do you have any comments or questions?
That's what they were, that's what.
After we're done, I'd like to talk about the terrace house.
Yeah.
Like a little story that goes along.
Okay.
Is this
Then
one
that-
existing?
Stop rolling. When the camera stop rolling. I said when the camera stop rolling.
Right.
But if you guys want the homeowner to be able to come in and weigh in on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you say it's Photoshop,
I can't tell.
looks like the window to the north.
So that's the existing, that says replacement.
You see the one on the left?
Current view. Okay, so I believe that what is being proposed is to replace this, no, you're correct, it's not official. But here we have one of each, where we have an updated
That's what I'm
window
saying.
in the original window.
Yeah, so it says the 2020 edition, so
Correct.
that
My
must be,
apologies, I'm sorry. So the proposal is to replace this window to match that one.
and then the bedroom window.
This one to match this one.
It looks like the dimensions are different on the bedroom window.
This
That's,
is like an awning window.
yeah,
And again,
Looks like a slide by.
yeah.
it's a slide by, it's somewhere else in the house. As David noted.
And the concern I have is that it really does look like we're dealing with a bigger window.
Yes, it does appear so.
But it's hard to say.
Yeah,
But
and
just the numbers, the counting,
the
So you
cleverance.
can say that's the look of it, but it's not the size of it. You know, so we really don't know.
Right, right.
all right, I will invite.
We tried, but we can't read minds.
You can see those there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we'll revisit that one. How about 43 Lake Street. Charlotte Snyder. that is currently an asphalt roof. And the request is to replace it with a standing seam. Charlotte had said that she would bring in a sample, which I did not receive.
And without seeing, yeah, that's the change in materials is a big enough thing, but without seeing the sample, I'm really hesitant to move forward.
Yes, we don't know what type of standing.
Yeah, there are a lot of interpretations of standing seam at this point.
Yep.
Okay,
All right, and then we are on to
76 there.
76 Fair Street, the request for field change there from Mr. Hunt. Did everyone get a chance to look at that? I do have the original, the plans that were approved, if we wanted to compare it to the proposed change. He's proposing a pedestrian door, some flanking windows on the daylight basement, and stepping down of the foundation on the, that says west elevation, but it looks more like the south elevation to me.
Sounds like you're confused.
Poor Jackson, he's being asked to read a lot of tea leaves.
I could call David Pynenberg, but he is not in the state, so I asked if we could review it without him present, and if we cannot, then we cannot.
Mine are kind of more nuanced questions, the new door, and I understand why they want a new door on the garage.
Right.
They speak, it really looks from the drawing like crammed in. And that just aesthetically, doesn't sit right.
Right, the grouping of the fenestration and it's
Right.
a little bit.
And Jesse had concerns about the bluestone floor for the porch. To me, that's not visible from the street, nor are the requests for the back.
Mhm.
And I don't have big questions about those, although other people may have. And if people think I'm being too fussy about the door on the garage, but it could be done a little bit more elegantly, I just think design wise it's. So have that drawing in your left hand with the left hand door, the door to the left of the garage door, kind of mushed in there.
So the solution is that you could shift the garage door, make it symmetrical.
That would be ideal, but, and I see why they didn't, because then it's not symmetrical with the second floor windows.
Or bridge.
But that something. I agree, because that was my initial, space it out better, but, and if it were a different garage door, you might not notice that. But the fenestration and design of the just garage door, I think.
So it's a part of the garage door wider.
It would be all one door,
Yeah.
the wall.
There would be a horizontal band
Right.
rather than an interrupted.
Yeah, I don't think any of it's been constructed.
No, I think they're still working on their foundation, which is probably makes the. This does say west elevation showing. It's definitely the south elevation.
Mhm.
Right here. And those are going to be issues for concrete forming. So I would say that if there's something that's more pressing than something else, it would be those.
Or the plant closes.
Pardon me?
Before the
Before
plan
the
closes.
Plant closes.
Right.
Yeah, I think my bigger, I have no problem approving those. I would like to see the garage addressed more thoughtfully. If they want to add a door. George, do you have any comments?
No, I'm just trying to,
Get your mind around a big addition on a little house.
I'm not sure I would know how to solve that riddle to make that aesthetically pleasing.
No.
I agree with Pat, just make it one band and maybe put a shed roof over the whole thing. That way you break the
Break the symmetry.
with the upper window.
Yeah, yeah. Choose a simpler door and kind of, it doesn't have that symmetry.
That's just my opinion.
Is anybody comfortable approving the basement windows as proposed in the field change and asking the property owner to try to address the garage with a little more thought based on our concerns about the.
I'm willing to do that.
This is an architect design,
I think so.
Susan Snell, correct?
Teresa Drury.
Hmm?
Teresa Drury, I did the
Yeah.
architect on this. Alton View.
Also, you, Teresa Burr.
Yeah, I think Teresa would be able to come up with something.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, David's about to field change, sorry.
I move that we approve this field change for the this one. The west side, there it is.
There is this request for field change for the south elevation. This request for field change, the addition of these two windows for the west elevation,
So,
just to differentiate.
so the south and the west side.
And none is visible from the street.
So both sides are, okay, the south and west side. Okay, do we have a second? A second?
I'll
Sorry,
second.
thank you very much. Okay, Liz, what's yes?
Pat, yes.
David, yes?
George, yes.
Jackson, do you have enough feedback from certainly me about concerns about the kind of smudged in new door, treating that a little more thoughtfully if all those doors are gonna happen on that front side, street facing side of the house, of the garage?
Can I say that the board is requesting that they reconsider the grouping of the fenestration of west elevation or this elevation of the garage?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Any thoughts on the request to change the side porch from decking with Trex to a cement slab with bluestone?
Would you like to make a motion?
We'll make a motion then we approve the change in the porch surface.
Okay, any seconds?
No second.
Okay, Matt, Liz votes yes.
David, yes.
Pat, yes.
George, yes.
Thank you. Okay. All right. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
Yep.
Thank you. I apologize that I did not get to reviewing draft minutes. That's why people do not have their minutes. So is everyone comfortable, especially since we are short a few board members, is everybody comfortable waiting to review and approve the minutes until the next board meeting? And Marcia, I will try to finish that between tonight and tomorrow and get those to you.
I appreciate your attempt to take full credit, but I was slow getting into you as well.
Everybody's been extremely busy.
It's been busy.
Everybody, if you had gotten them to me much earlier, I'm not sure if it would have made a difference. I have to be really honest. And so, I think like the bumblebees and the ladybugs were all trying to get the last gasps of sunshine in on top of everything else. So I apologize. Pardon me?
I said, oh, it happens to everyone.
So anyway, I think, without having October minutes to review, we can adjourn the meeting and the recording and, you know, if, thank you all very much
Thanks so much.
for
everybody.
coming and hanging in there. And, I know this,